Omvillage. Welcome everyone. Today's build, we're dealing with Vice. Vice is coming up, and they're doing a program on how CO2 could be the future of fuel. This is an Omvillage topic because Omvillage gets into how can we save the planet? How can we reverse some of our footsteps of what we're doing on the planet and what we have done on the planet? How can we do that and be effective in doing that so the future generations can be on this planet and exist in a plentiful and abundant earth that we live on, So Vice gets into extracting CO2. So we're going to look at the video. There's going to be some commentary there I'm going to give on the video. And just to, share the information with everyone else that, there's other people, other organizations, other companies, other multinational companies that are jumping in on board with having to save the planet. And, the best thing that we possibly can do at Omvillage is just show the information to people and, educate them, let them know what's going on. Because eventually, Omvillage will be a topic on Vice and will be a topic on major news. The things that we have going on is huge for the planet. Starting eco villages and being able for them to be sustainable and beautiful and thriving with a thriving economy, no poverty, no slavery. People only work, 3 hours to 5 hours throughout the day. After that, they have enough money to go home, spend the rest of the time with their family, raising their family. Everybody in Omvillage doesn't have to, work 8 to 12 to 15 hours on a job. That old business model of people working will not exist at Omvillage, but it will be more centered on family values, core belief systems, things of that nature to spark humanity in evolving and wanting to evolve in a progressive and harmonious way with the planet. So that's Omvillage. Let's get into this Vice, how CO2 could be the future of fuel. All right, enjoy. Let's talk about it.
Why don't we recycle energy?
You're hitting the nail on the head. We would like people to be recycling their fuel in the same way as they recycle other things.
Your technology is we're going to refine that energy, that carbon, out of the atmosphere, combine it with hydrogen and water, and then that's the same as gas or jet fuel?
Yeah, it's chemically the same. No pollutants. So, for example, our diesel burns completely clean. None of that black smoke you see from trucks when they go up hills.
Right.
Completely clean. But yeah, it's chemically identical. So this is our plant. Great to have you here.
Okay, so what he just said, if y'all missed it, is that the CO2 is completely identical. The CO2 gas that they pull out from the atmosphere is completely identical to conventional gas. That in itself is amazing. And it's another way to where, we don't have to burn these fuels, fossil fuels, all kinds of, different things on the earth that create more CO2 than is actually needed, because CO2 is destroying the planet. And I'm going to do another video, another live about how CO2 is destroying the planet. So check it out. This is some amazing technology. Let me know what you think in the inbox. All right.
Everything here is a working model, full process working, and we are capturing CO2 from the atmosphere right here. Think of it as like a big cooling tower. Large fan, the fan draws the CO2 in, chemical reaction, and we capture the CO2.
Wouldn't there be more carbon to capture by dirty, naughty factories?
No, it's uniformly distributed. So we could
anywhere.
put one of these plants in the middle of Beijing, or we could put it in the middle of the Sahara Desert. You would capture the same amount of atmospheric CO2.
So we as a species have put it in, so we as a species should be taking it out.
Well, that's our choice, but I think we have to, or find somewhere else to live.
Okay, let's get into that. Okay, the CO2 being put into the atmosphere is more than it's ever been. Except for, I think, a couple of million years ago, there was a huge amount of CO2 that was on the planet. And people have checked the carbon dating of different fossils in the ground. They go to the Arctic, to the North Pole, and they do these huge Arctic graphs that they stick how far down in the ground, like 2 or 3 miles into the ground, and they pull it back up, and they have all of these carbon datings. It's like the ring of a tree. You know how they say the ring of the tree shows how old the tree is. They do the same thing with putting like this metal titanium pole into the ground, forcing it into the ground, and then they can check to see what date and how the climate was, let's say, 1 million years ago. Okay, so by them testing the dirt or the magma, by them testing it, they come up with these conclusions and this data that there was more CO2 on the planet before. So I beg to differ, man. Like a lot of things that we're doing now than even like 1 million years ago, it's up for debate and it's up for theorizing, because I don't think there were cars and plastic bottles 1 million years ago. At least we don't see it, like I don't see an old car or anything buried at the Arctic. So if there was a lot more CO2 on the planet at that time, again, that could be helping form the Earth. Apparently there wasn't that many humans on the planet at that time as well. So, I mean, we have to all take this into consideration and take this all with a grain of salt, because pumping CO2 into this machine and taking it out of the atmosphere could form a problem. I personally think, because if humans are putting more CO2 into the atmosphere, right, and we don't have any way of having scientific data to measure how much CO2 we are creating, and we take that CO2 out of the atmosphere, that can be a huge issue, because the planet needs CO2. Like, even if humans weren't creating all of this calamity, fuckery, mischief, destroying the planet, like, if we weren't doing that, there would still be CO2 on the planet. Our issue is that we're pumping more CO2 on the planet than the planet can withstand. Within doing that, it's like putting the planet already normalizes its temperature, but pumping more CO2 into the planet because of our diabolical, not sustainable ways, it's like we're putting a sweater on the planet. So the planet is literally heating up more, so again, that's the theory, but that's the one we're riding on with climate change. So we got to think about it, because I think the issue is that there's no ma'at, there's no balance. Just like when humans pumping all the CO2, they don't know how much they pumping into the atmosphere, and there's there's no balance. So how are we supposed to figure a balance out? You know, even if we take CO2 out of the planet or out of the atmosphere, how much do we take out in order for it not to cause more death and destruction on the planet? Think about that. Here we go. Enjoy.
It looks exactly the same as any other fuel.
Right.
It's very, very high chemical performance.
Right.
Higher performance fuel than the stuff you buy at the pumps today.
So it's better than the pumps. It's carbon neutral.
That's the gas
and
that they make.
It would be cheap to make because you're refining the energy that's already out there in the atmosphere.
Yeah, you're using the CO2 from the atmosphere. Your only feedstock, the only thing you're consuming is renewable electricity.
Right.
But here's the interesting thing. A carbon neutral fuel that's compatible with any vehicle in the world today.
Right.
So that car you just drove up in, we can make that carbon neutral tomorrow.
Wow.
Any vehicle, any performance vehicle, any battered old truck, aeroplanes.
It's called carbon neutral gas.
Significant because nobody's making electric tractors or electric planes.
Right. Do you have to do any modifications? No.
Why not? So transportation is about 20% of the CO2 emissions.
So check it. So what he said, that you don't have to do any modifications to your vehicles with the gas that they're producing from the CO2 emission that they're grabbing from the atmosphere. Again, that's phenomenal. And again, we want to check and see how much CO2 we should pull out of the planet before it causes more destruction on the planet. Right? So they should be capped off. They should have a limit of CO2 that they can push off. If they can't grab any data for how much CO2 they're in the long run that they can that they can absorb out of the planet and make into gas, if they don't have any caps, it's gonna be total destruction. Because again, we need CO2 on the earth. And apparently what this dude said, you can put this CO2 plant, gas plant, anywhere in the world. You can put it in Beijing, you can put it in Sahara Desert, and you're going to ultimately get the same amount of CO2. So again, man, we got to know exactly how much that these guys, that these women, that these people are going to take out of the planet, and tell them to stop when they've taken out too much, But we already know right now that we're in trouble because the CO2 levels are high, and it's creating all this global warming, which is creating the Arctic to melt, all of the glaciers to melt, warming the planet up, major hurricanes and weather modifications on the planet are being destroyed. So let's go.
How are we going to decarbonize that? There's 1 billion cars in the world. So if we all go electric, $50,000 for an electric car, that's $50 trillion. Then you got to deliver energy and electricity to each car. It's a massive change.
Yeah.
Alternatively, why don't we just change the fuel? The price to you at the pump will be the same.
Having something like a carbon neutral gas isn't even enough. We've got to start going negative. We've got to actually pull carbon out of the atmosphere. Now, can this do that? And what's the plan?
You can take the CO2 generated here and bury that underground, and you get to negative emissions.
Right.
It's a hugely important thing.
And how many do you need to scale it to get to carbon negative?
You need less of these than there are power stations.
So check it, son. This dude is talking about taking the leftovers of this gas and putting it into the ground. This whole thing just looks like just destruction, dude. Like I don't know what y'all thinking. Like it seems like we've gotten ourselves in humanity has gotten themselves in over their heads so much that they just trying to Hail Mary. They're just trying to Hail Mary a past that's not gonna make it. But they trying, and then not only are they trying to make $1 They trying to make $1 more than $1. They trying to win. Like with this new project that he got going on, he trying to replace gas. And the people that own gas, I know they gonna have problems on him. Probably gonna stop him as much as they possibly can. But the people that got gas, maybe they're funding this dude. You know what I'm saying? Because gas is destroying the planet. It's unsustainable. So, and one of the things he brought up, we go all electric. I think electric is the way. But the cars that they sell got to be below market value, especially in the States. Nobody's gonna pay $35,000 between the price of $25,000 to $35,000 when they already have college debt and all the rest of the debt that they have to pay off. This shit is getting ridiculous, man. I mean, it's levels on levels to how much all of these systems are not sustainable, dude. Like, even the economy is not sustainable. It's sustainable to a very few, and those very few that it is sustainable to, God bless you. You know what I'm saying? God bless you. But those that it's not, and which the majority of the planet is not, and we got to think about the majority when we talk about climate change, because the majority is using all the resources, not the few. Few probably hardly using any resources. That's why they came up with the freaking those electric cars. They came up to get that to the few. Electric cars should have been for the multitude, for everyone. It shouldn't be a luxury car to have an electric car because you don't pay gas. That don't make no sense. The number one people that can pay for gas is the folks that got more money than everybody else. Again, that shit is backwards, man. But we got to rethink this. We have to somehow rethink this, because we got to get 1 million people in electric cars. We got to try this dude's CO2 gas out, see if it works. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully it does. But again, I think they should have some kind of cap of taking out CO2. They shouldn't just be able to drain the planet of all CO2, even when the climate does start to correct itself. So let's carry on.
In the world today, to net emissions out to zero.
And how many is that?
It's in the region of tens of thousands. If we are taking
Juice Man, peace.
to move emissions elsewhere, now you start getting to an overall negative emissions from the world.
Why isn't the world rushing to Squamish, BC and saying, can we please make 100,000 of these?
So first of all, we're open and ready to receive the world. Secondly, we've really just got to proof of concept here, and it's working. So the next step for our business is to expand across the globe, make carbon neutral fuel, and when the scientists and the governments decide.
So what this dude is talking about, just to give you a breath, he's talking about how to pull the CO2 out of the environment so they can make fuel out of the CO2. Because apparently apparently humanity has created so much more CO2 on the planet that is heating up the planet and causing global warming, climate change, drastic weather, calamities all around the world. There's droughts in the west coast of the United States. There's hurricanes and floods in the islands and on the eastern part of the United States, cyclones, tornadoes, all kinds of stuff in the Midwest. So harsh weather conditions all around the planet. So these companies, I don't know who this company is backed by the way, but you can see his symbol on his head. And symbols speak 1,000 words. I don't know who he's backed by, but his initiative or his plan, he works for these people that are pulling the CO2 out of the planet, and they're turning this CO2 into a gas that we can use in our cars. So my beef was with the CO2 being pulled out is that in the long run, the dude should be this company should have caps on the CO2 that they're being able to pull out. They shouldn't just be able to pull out CO2 because apparently the planet needs CO2 to live. So if they don't know how much CO2 they've pumped into the atmosphere, how will they know how much CO2 not to take out of the atmosphere? And when the planet starts to heal itself more and the drastic weather start to change, and the climate starts to normalize itself again, we're going to have to try to figure out to tell these people to stop. From my perspective, I don't think the people are going to stop in the long run because they're, this company is profit over people. This is another company that is trying to make some money. You know what I'm saying? Trying to make some money and trying to make a huge amount of money replacing gas. Think about these dudes replace gas. Come on now. They trying to be the next bazillionaires on the planet. So I don't think they're going to stop. So that can be an issue. That can be another issue. What happens when these fools, I hate to call them fools, but what happens when these people take out more CO2 than needed? You know what I'm saying? So, that's an issue. That can be a bigger issue. But if it does work, theorizing if it does work, then, they're the saviors of the planet because they're, been able to stop global warming. So it's a tight rope that these companies are making for themselves, because if they fail, they could destroy humanity even more. But if they don't, they could, they could heal humanity. So, I think all of the government, forces in the United States and outside of the United States and also international should most definitely check into these people and see what their plans are for the next 50 years, see what their business model is. More than less, I think the government should probably run them, because at least the government would hopefully be more responsible than to run humanity into the depths of hell. But you never know, man. I think we have to focus in on trying to save the planet. I put out a post a couple of weeks, I think last week, that, we are no longer, problem solvers. We're more solution based. We want to focus more on the solution than on the problem. So this is a solution based issue, but they're focusing on the problem too as well. So, God bless them. Hopefully they're able to work it out. But this is something that we're doing at Omvillage. We're bridging the gap between information and the people. Just telling people about more of the natural and organic ways that governments, institutions, people on the planet are actually out there trying to heal the planet. And what are the faces and how these people look? Because in the regular news, you don't know if anybody's trying to clean up the ocean from the billions of tons of plastic that's in the ocean that the fish are eating, that people are consuming. People are consuming the fish out there. They're consuming plastic. And a lot of people don't know that. But especially if you get it from the ocean, that's plastic. There's plastic in that fish. So who's out there cleaning the ocean up? Who's out there trying to stop climate change? who are the companies, who can we identify, who can we put a name and a face to healing the planet. That's what Omvillage is doing, because we're creating eco villages around the planet to show the world that we can be sustainable, that we can go back to nature, that we can reverse not only our actions within the diabolical things that we do ritualistic on a day-to-day basis just to be in a rat race hustling to make money every single day. We can revert that and change that and turn everything that we do into a positive for the planet that's not going to harm the planet. You know what I'm saying? And it's not a Unitarian society that we are putting out there for people. But we're putting out a society that needs to take action instead of being reactionary about the issues that are going on the planet and taking a blind eye. Just because, we watch all of this diabolical TV that has nothing to do with nothing. I mean, nothing to do with any serious, real issues. It doesn't mean that we're not facing real issues as humanity. You know what I mean? We're facing real issues as humanity. And every single day, every single individual that lives and breathes on this planet needs to play a part on healing the earth. That's how we're going to change what we do. That's why Omvillage is focusing on villages, because it allows people in a personal setting to change what they're doing in a constructive, progressive, beautiful way. We can change what we're doing and create a society that is built on the earth, that's built on healing the earth, that's built on correcting our actions personally in our homes, in our neighborhoods, personally correcting them. And once we personally correct them, it's just going to be a reflection of what's going to happen. It's a microcosm, of what's going to happen. It's the micro. Little societies are the micro of what the bigger society should reflect. So there has to be places where the bigger societies can look at us and grow and know that they can do it as well. So, that's what Omvillage is all about. I want everybody to check out Omvillage, OMVILLAGE.org. Check us out online. We're selling jewelry and a whole bunch of, we have a whole marketplace on the online that you can go check our store out, that you can go and actually, look at some of the things that we're doing to support. We're going to feed 10,000 families in 2019 around the world, poor families. And we have this marketplace that supports the village. So everything that you dedicate, or everything you put into you put in the pot, you'll be able to see your actual dollars working for you. You can say, hey man, I bought something from Omvillage. It was amazing, and I'm supporting that village to get up and running, and you'll be able to look back 5 years from now and be like, hey, I played a part in healing the earth. That's our part. This is this dude's part of dealing with this natural gas. Although our business plan is not like his business plan, but our business plan is going to heal the planet. And we're going to do it one individual, one family, one community, one nation, one society at a time. Other than that, everyone have a wonderful, peaceful, and productive night. Juice Man, thank you for listening in. Hit me up if anyone is interested in anything we're doing. We have a YouTube as well. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We look forward to conversing with you in the comments. We look forward to hearing the inboxes and your inquiries and new things that we can talk about that you think that should be talked about on Omvillage and that we can bring to the people. Other than that, peace.